Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. We are once again in the midst of the Bambus 4-leaf fusion, which is ongoing now, and we're kind of at that midpoint where it's a little bit of a reprieve before we have to go ham starting tomorrow with the champion training event, the 5-day long one, as well as coinciding that with the dungeon tournaments. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we're talking about the return of the Soul Chase tournament. And so the pattern thus far, at least the past 3, that they've been split 4 weeks apart, so about one a month. And so I'm going to assume from here on out that this is kind of where we're going to be, around once a month or every 4 weeks. So that's what we're going to project all of our metrics based off of. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rewards, and they have been updated because mythical champions have been added to the game and their souls have been added to the pool. And as such, their points have been added to the tournament. Now, I do want to note here that the rare, epic, and legendary soul point amounts have not changed. So they are exactly the same. All that's added here is that mythical have the additional points added here at the bottom row. So it's kind of a free win, and we'll check this out mathematically later. But basically, every single soulstone has gotten stronger because of the addition of mythical champions in the game. And to correspond with the increase in strength to all soulstone types, the rewards milestones have increased ever so slightly. We'll talk about that as well. And it looks like they replaced the sacred shard at the top with a mythical skill tome here at 1750. So in order to explain this a bit better, let's hop over to the spreadsheet here. We can see all of the calculations going into the average amount of points in a soul chase for each of these soul stones. So we have the addition of the mythical champion row here in terms of these points per the different tier of souls. We also have their row here for the rarity of those souls, and essentially adding mythical champions, which is I have to applaud them, which is really nice. They essentially just took it straight out of the rare percentage. So epic and legendary are basically the same, and then rare chances went down, and the mythical champions consumed what came from there. And obviously for eternal, there's no rares, so it came from the epic category. So if we focus in on the soul chase portion of the spreadsheet here, we can look at the updates to the average chase points as well as the different milestones here. So first off, the mortal soulstone increased from 6.7 points on average to 8.0, and again on average is accounting for having the small but possible chance to get a 6-star mythical champion, for example. And so to converge to this average value, you will need at some point to get a high tier soul. It doesn't necessarily have to be 6-star mythical, 6-star legendary, but something of a high enough caliber that it will bring the average closer to the mean here. For the immortal soulstones, it increased from 40.7 to 55.4, and then the eternals increased from 246.4 to 319.6. So what do these values mean in terms of the math compared to the increase in rewards? So the best way to look at that is on a percentage basis, and so we can break that down as well. For the mortal soul stones, it increased by 19%, so the value of the average of the stones increased by that amount. For immortals, it increased by 36%, and the eternal increased by 30%. Now, if we look at the rewards here, by contrast, the Void Shard point total, or the point milestone, increased by 36%, so about equal to the Immortal gain, but better than the Eternal and the Mortal. The Legendary Tome, the first Legendary Tome, increased by 27%, the second Legendary Tome increased by 21%, and the Mythical Tome is 17% above where the Sacred Shard used to be. And if that is still too much math for you, then I can break it down even simpler in terms of what it's going to cost you on average to get the same amount of points or the same amount of rewards. So for the mortal soulstones, you will need between 3 and 9 more. So let's just say an extra 10 pool on average to get the new milestone. So not a big change. On the immortal side, it actually decreased. So it's between -5 and 0. So you'll need less immortal soulstones overall on average to get the same rewards as before. And for the eternals, as you might guess, it didn't really change much. So it's between 0 and -1. So roughly the same amount of eternal soulstones will get you the same rewards. So all in all, I think it's quite a good thing. It's a benefit for us as the players, where technically you will need slightly more mortal soulstones on average if you want to get the same rewards, but those are obviously the most accessible to the average player, and the more expensive ones, if you were to buy them, or just the ones that are harder to obtain, have just more power than they used to before. So I think that's a good thing overall, and these are the updates to those values. So as usual, my personal target would be at least the first legendary tome, but if we get lucky, fortunate enough with the immortals, then we can see how reasonable it is to push for the second legendary tome. Fortunately, looking at my group here, I'm not going to be able to place first or second or probably even third unless I get super lucky. We'll see. And so I'm not going to be chasing the Relentless this go around. Maybe fourth or fifth might be feasible. Definitely fifth for sure. So I'm not too fussed about this one as far as point totals, where we get with what we have. And hopefully we get some cool souls along the way. Hopping over to the Soulstone summoning area, let's talk about how many stones I've acquired over the past 4 weeks. Mortals has been roughly the same, so another 70. I spent 70 last session, and I got 70 more. And again, I like to pull in sets of 10, so we're going to ignore the extra 6 here. In terms of immortals, I had 8 last time, and I pulled 2. Down to 7, so we're up to 9, meaning I got 2 over the past 4 weeks, and we've got a whopping 0 on the Eternal, so no gain on that one so far. If I recall correctly, I believe those 2 Immortals did come from champion training events and tournaments. The 70 Mortals are a collection of Hydra rewards over the past month, as well as some random nodes from events and tournaments, as well as converting any and all soul coins from 6 runs of Iron Twins every day. So now let's get into the summoning. I guess I should mention the slight tweak to my wish list here, where I did get a 4-star Arbiter Soul, which I'm happy to use with Intimidating Presence, so I swapped her place out for Glaceia Soul Guide, who I also use in Live Arena to counter Yumikos and Warlords, so I would like to get a higher tier of a polymorph for her if possible. Everything else is essentially the same, so let's get into it. We'll make space as we go along, and the first 10 pop is worth 86, so that is good. That means we're kind of riding the average around 80. I think I have higher than a 1-star for Judge, so that's not helpful, but that is from the wish list. Genbo, 1-star, I think I have higher on him. Burn Giri, 4-star, that's probably what brought the average up. And then we got our first mythical soul here, Sigfrund. 2-star mythical, which is useless because I don't have one. I've never even pulled a primal shard, so I don't even know how useful that's going to be. I've also heard through the grapevine that there was this rumor about, higher rates of mythicals for the first few summons that people had, and I don't usually believe in conspiracy theories, but at the same time, if it helps me get more points, then I'm not really going to complain either way. So hey, conspiracy on. Next set of 10, what are we going to get? 30. There we go, back down into the trenches where we belong. 2-star Inquisitor Shamael. I know he's very, very popular in Hydra, so that would be useful to a lot of people. I personally do not use him for that purpose because his counterattacks annoy me to no end. I wish they would patch that, meaning they would just happen all at once or something, or just speed up the animation just to make that much less painful, especially on manual. On auto, I guess it's okay, but you still have to wait for it to happen. But anyways, I don't use him. Grunch I don't use. Lady Quillen I don't use. Eviscerator, I've seen some cool things with her. I think you kind of require like 5 or 6-star on Phantom Touch to really get the crux out of her kit. But nonetheless, she is a cool champion. I do have her at like 5-star just because she's one of those champions that I'd like to max just because she looks cool, not because she's useful, even before I even read what her kit does or understood it. But it's kind of funny that she happens to have somewhat of a use, but definitely not some endgame viable champion by any means. Next 10 pop, here we go. 358. Okay, that means we got something super solid. That might be it right there. 6-star Epic Soul for Missionary, who will absolutely not be used against a 5-star Panthera, which will also not be used. 2-star Wuji, not helpful. 2-star Yelgarna, nope. And 2-star Duoden the Runic. I forgot what his title is, but I mean, hey, I'll take the points. That's way above the average. That's like the average of 10 like immortals. Yeah, not really useful, but I'll take it for the sake of the points. That is huge progress towards the legendary tome, at least the first one. So let's keep it going. Fourth 10 pop, 153, another good set, much higher than the average. I guess twice the average, nearly. 1-star Gentoro, I do not have that champion. Oboro, decent Hydra champion, but very squishy and hard to keep alive. 3-star Mythical Soul here with our base. I don't even know how to say that. Once again, mythical champions don't have them, so they're not really useful, but I will definitely take the points. 5-star Fortress Goon, don't care, that's going to be sold. And 4-star Bombardier, nope. 3-star Diabolist? No, not at all. But I'll take the quality here of just getting a lot of points, and even if I can't really use the souls. That was honestly a very powerful set. Space has been made, and we are ready to do the second half of the Mortal Soulstones 310 pops. Here we go. Hopefully we can get more of the same, and definitely not. Okay, 24 points on the low end. We deserve that. We've definitely gotten a luckier than expected thus far from just the Mortal Soulstones. So nothing much here. A couple of low tier epics that I don't use, so not much to talk about there. Next, 10 pop 64, below average again. Again, probably warranted given the hot start that we had, but we have one more 10 pop after this. 2-star Cold Heart. I think that is lower than both of my Cold Hearts, so that is not helpful, but the wish list is nice to hit. 1-star Mythical Champion. Again, not really that useful. I don't have Mythical Champions. Yeah, not much else to say. Last 10 pop, here we go, 47. Again, below the average. So once again, this kind of proves the point that I mentioned earlier, where you do need to get something high tier to really converge toward the average. So I think we're going to show that I might be above average overall, just because we hit the high side of the odds a couple of times. Another Mythical Champion soul, I think that's 4 out of 6. So we basically hit all of them as far as the uniqueness there. And 3-star Slayer, that's going to be sold as well. So not much there. Let me check where I'm at in the tournament and see how many Immortal Soulstones we're going to have to pull here. Okay, so I checked in on the tournament and we are at 762 points. So 100 away from the first legendary tome. And I think that's probably where we're going to stop today. I think that also gets me 5th place in the tournament. So some rare Relentless gear and also I guess an epic tome or something like that. And I think that's reasonable unless we get a really huge soul right out of the gate that pushes me close to that 1270. But trying to push another 400 points or 500 points is probably outside of the scope with the 9 immortals that we have. So we're going to keep it realistic, and hopefully with the average being around 55, it'll only take 2 immortals in order to get to the first legendary tome. So let's get cracking. The first one is 40 points, slightly below average, but still decent. Legendary 2-star, 3-star Clyde. Boy, legendary. I think she's like optimized for Sand Devil with her kit, but I do not have her, so that is not super helpful. That should bring me to just around 800, so we have 65 points to go. So still probably an average of 2 immortals to go. 12, that's not what you want to see. That's going to be some really low tier something. 3-star Gorlos. Well, I do use him for Faction Wars, so that might be new or that might be an upgrade. I don't recall, but that's probably going to be Cruelty because he is a, not arena, but he is a debuffer style champion with AoE decreased defense. So lowering more defense by using his abilities will not hurt. Hopefully the last Immortal Soulstone, we have 50 points to go. 3, that is not what you want to see. That's a 3-star rare, fat rip. Crossbowman, get out of here. Okay, so we're nowhere near. We still got to keep going here. We need, oh, we don't need another 3. Oh gosh. Okay, we're just going to be blowing through these, unfortunately. Another 3-star rare. I think we still need like 50 points. So come on, something way better. Okay, 30. Woo! 30, we're saved mostly. I don't think that's enough. Lockwane, Sylvan Watcher, who I don't even have, unfortunately. 4-star is nice though. Mental math, I think we should be somewhere around 840. So hopefully one more should do it and then we're done. Okay, 30, we're definitely there. We're going to call it. I think that should be the first legendary tome. And 4-star Crowd in the Blue. That is awesome, actually, because that's probably going to be Phantom Touch. If I can figure out how to fit him into a Fire Knight hard team, so chances to get an extra hit on the shield will just make him that much stronger. So I'll definitely take that one for sure. Okay, mental math for the win. We're pretty much spot on. I was around 850. We got the 30, brings me up to 880. So legendary tome acquired. Unfortunately, I would honestly rather be in 6th place because 60 or 100 gems is worth a lot more than 4 6-star relentless pieces, unless they're just the most god tier relentless pieces ever. Maybe, you never know. But since you can't chaos aura it, it's a lot less valuable to get rare relentless gear. But with that, that's going to do it for today's video. Overall, I have to say I'm pretty satisfied with how that went, although it got a little bit ropey there near the end with those immortals getting those back-to-back 3s. I kind of broke my spirit a little bit, but the immortals were definitely way above average overall, so I can't complain too much. So overall, I think it's just a fair balance of points overall, and that's why it does pay to have a bulk of Soulstones saved for events like these, because you kind of need a larger sample size to get closer to the average. Otherwise, you might just get a bad 10 pop Imagine if I just pulled two immortals and they got double 3, I'd be, you know, reeing out of my chair. But having the ability to pull more than that allows me to kind of balance it out and get the average RNG and converge towards that average and get, you know, get the rewards I was going for. But anyways, let me know if you guys pulled anything cool from your Soulstones, if you participated in this tournament as well. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to hit that like button down below, as well as subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good one.